with our last guests. But we do have some in-person guests here. Here's Gavin. Let's see if Gavin, I can bring you in now.
Hello, hello.
Gavin Starker, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
You are in. You're saying your camera's not working now.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's disappointing. Well, this is Gavin Starker,
I know it would
everyone.
have been great to see my beautiful face today.
Gavin is my former student, and Gavin, tell me where you're at now. Tell me what's going on with you and your journey.
So far now, if you're just meaning general life, currently going into my junior year in college. I'm currently at SUNY Oswego. I am majored in electrical engineering with a double major in applied mathematics.
Oh my God!
Oh, it's real fun. A lot of math. Good stuff.
And
Beyond that, I've carried on some of the great leadership skills I learned as being a class president. As you know, senior year, I'm now president of the physics club at SUNY Oswego as well.
of course you are.
Yeah, got to keep leading people, keep doing the right thing. Beyond that, though, to talk about some of the things I'm doing now in school, I have a research position doing research in image processing for the medical tech sector. So for things like Alzheimer research and
Oh wow!
research in other brain activities. So we're building like certain receptors that can transmit and propagate signals at a faster and more reliant pace than what's normally found in medical technology.
Wow, Gavin, that sounds incredible.
That's pretty
Uh,
interesting stuff.
good for you, Gavin. I wrote about you in the book, and I know I have to get that book to school. I'll drop it off this week.
Oh, I'd
Um,
love to see it.
but I learned from you about sitting in the front row. I spent the whole day following a student around, and I learned so much from you. Tell me about that concept of sitting in the front row.
Well, I think it's actually a pretty important aspect of my life so far. So I think the entirety of like the front row philosophy is that it's immensely easy to just be present in a class or in a course, a seminar like you have in college, even a research convention or like a project proposal or any academic endeavor. But the arduous task you're presented with in life is to actually, actively digest information and to keep yourself engaged because
Mm.
anyone could just sit there and be somewhere, whether it be in an academic environment or in life. It doesn't mean you have to actively engage. And like the issue that you have to present yourself with is, do you want to simply, be part of something or to be a main character, so to speak, in that thing? Do you want to actively participate and tackle this issue head on, or do you just want to, sit in the back and be a bystander? So I think it's important not only to receive information like you would in a normal course, but to actually dissect that information, ponder the implications presented to you from what you're learning in a course or in life and extrapolate on what it means relative to maybe the thing you're learning at the time, maybe your past experiences, or even in some cases, what it could mean for your life ahead and the things you're going to experience eventually in your life, and even your entire worldview.
And Gavin, how did you know that so early on? You were a high school student. Like, when did that hit you?
I think pretty early on in high school because I think post like grade school. Well, I mean technically high school still is grade school, but post middle school, I think is when you finally start understanding that there's much more to life than just school and the friends you meet there, and then there's going to be a cause and effect relationship with you and the life you lead, and that like it's important for you to nurture that idea early on instead of letting it hit you right in the face randomly sometime in your 20s.
Gavin, I was so impressed by that, and I have to get you that book back because you let me borrow it. But I wanted to give you that back. There's a book out called Life in the Front Row,
Oh, fantastic.
and I
Yeah.
would encourage you, Gavin, to do something with that because you're a bright kid. You're going places, and people need to hear that about you. So I hope that this book will be a springboard for you. But I would encourage you to do some writing. Gavin, the offer is there for you to write about your own experience with that. I'd love to put it on my blog for you. But I'd also like to see you do something with that because people need inspiration, and you can provide that for them.
Oh man, that'd be fantastic. It'd be cool to get some tips from you because I know that you've written quite a large amount now.
Well, I am. The offer is there, Gavin. Where do you hope to land when you graduate Oswego?
Oh man, I'm not extremely picky in where I end up as long as it's somewhere where I find myself having a decent work-life balance. Like for the longest time, I was hoping to just get a job doing stuff in like the microelectronics circuit sector, and then now I'm kind of fluid in where I end up, especially state-wise or like career-wise too. I wouldn't even mind going somewhere in Wall Street to do like quantitative analysis stuff. Like, I mean, I think I'm open to pretty much anything life is ready to throw at me, you know? Like I don't think you should ever leave yourself just a few options or be so hell-bent on something that you're only going to take one aspect of life. You know, I think you should be open to any interpretation of your life that's given to you because there's so many possibilities and you never know which one's going to be amazing and which is not.
Yeah. Well, very cool, Gavin. I'll get you to copy the book. So I know you haven't been able to see the other excerpts. But Gavin, the book is about building partnerships for parents to support kids in education. So what would you offer? I know you're not a parent yet, but you were a successful student. What would you offer for parents, or for kids to be successful in school, in addition to sitting in the front row?
Well, beyond just, I think the entirety of the front row philosophy, I think it's less of just an academic ideology. It's more of, I think it's a metaphor for the entirety of life. As a student, I don't think you should only focus on sitting in the front row because you learn more, you focus more. I think it's a metaphor for life in the sense that even if you are a student, there's more aspects to your life, of course, than being a student. I think you should force yourself to deal with your community, your social circle, whether it be work or anything like that, in a more direct way. And I think even as a student, of course, it's important to focus in school and stuff like that. But I think you should focus not so much on just the academics, even though they are important, but developing yourself as, you know, a healthy and impactful part of your community and your social circle and things like that. So I think it's important for kids to know that, like, there's a very large world beyond just your academic circle, and that you should be treating life less as, you know, getting through high school and more as building yourself up as a person to deal with things that are going to be presented to you in a much less calm and direct manner. And that's, you know, life in general.
Gavin, you're well-spoken beyond your years. I have my next guest here. It's my wife. I better not keep her waiting. I don't want to get in the doghouse. So Mrs. Marotta is next up, Gavin.
I do not want to make her angry, so I will leave you be.
She looks fantastic. She's been away. Gavin, I appreciate you coming on the program.
Oh,
you be well, my friend, and I'm going to get you those books will be in the office for you, okay?
I'm looking forward to it. It was fantastic catching up. I'll probably keep an email correspondence with you, you know, keep up with you. Have a nice rest of your evening, and I'll leave this to you and your wife. How do I leave?
You're the man. I got you, Gavin. I'll take care of you. See you, Gavin. Gavin Starker, everyone, student at Oswego, my former student. Let's bring Mrs. Marotta into the program.
Hiya.
I've been doing this program a long time. It's been hard to get you.
Well, I'm in high demand.
You're a busy lady. Mrs. Marotta, scoot in.
Okay.
Let's go a little closer here. Look how nice you look on camera. So I appreciate. I've been trying to coach you to get you to join me here, and here you are. And you did some writing in the book here, Mrs. Which one you want to talk about first? You had two excerpts. I know you wrote about our son Matthew. Let me see that one first. And you talked about you have notes. Well, I'll turn it right over to you.
They're not serious.
Tip number 34 was about our son Matthew. You called it ADD and not only dealing with me, but also dealing with Matthew. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, Mom?
So, walks like a duck, talks like a duck. We got ADD right here. My son Matthew, our second born, was extremely different than his sister. You shouldn't compare them, but we can't help ourselves, moms and dads. We do that. And our firstborn was our classic type A. You say hot, she says okay. She believes you the first time, fine. Matthew questioned everything, and he hot, and then 20 minutes later, hot, same thing, same scenario. And I found myself getting very frustrated and yelling, and I didn't want that relationship with my son. So I started to kind of slow down and pay attention to the patterns of what he was forgetting. And we would call it, he would leave the car, or he was daydreaming, or he wasn't paying attention. And I saw it in more of an adult form, but I didn't see it hand-on, face-to-face with someone I made. So Matthew was a new kind of experience for me. But I put my counselor hat on sometimes, and I try to do most of my problem solving by looking at patterns of people's nature, patterns of behavior during certain times of the day, fed, not fed, winter, summer, things like that. And I kind of studied Matthew and tried to take some of the emotion out of it. And I was like, I think a little ADD. So not officially diagnosed, but definitely strong tendencies. And Matthew and I, he's a bright kid. He's very hardworking, and he was always disappointed when he couldn't find the shoe he had in his hand 10 seconds ago. And I didn't want him to feel bad about that, but just how to conquer that and how to make that not all the time. So he's not always feeling bad about things he got to do all the time. So we talked about it, and we just kind of came up with tricks, for lack of a better word, or knowing thyself,
So like, what's a trick? What was something that you did with him that you helped get this under wraps?
So it would be.
And you talking half to me,
yes,
half to the camera. You see like this. You talking here. I'm just trying to get in.
So they were very simple. They don't seem, some people just take them for granted and they come naturally. And sometimes these are giant mountains to people, especially if you have a focusing concern. So they were simple things of doing everything the night before, limiting choices. So you don't ever say, what do you want for lunch? You just say, do you want A or B, or A, B, C if you're feeling bold? Just simplifying all that commotion and the sounds, because everything shiny or interesting is a full-on divergent to where you need to be. And he would lose time and space, we would say. And that was difficult for all of us under the roof. So getting everything ready ahead of time, limiting choices. And one of Matthew's good buddies, interesting enough, said, Mrs. Murata, you have such a good memory. And he the poor guy has ADD as well. And how do you remember all this stuff? And I said, buddy, I don't have a great memory. I have great habits. I put things in place so I don't have to remember. It's real crowded up here. I don't want to remember all the minutia, but if I take care of it ahead of time, I don't have to remember it. Makes it easier. And he thought I was like wizardly, which was really cute, but it's just putting in hard black and white patterns, and it's not fun, and it feels robotic, but it creates shortcuts to positive habits that you don't have to worry about.
You did great with him. You do great with me. And you wrote a second excerpt too here called Planning for the Future. Jen and I just celebrated our 20th year anniversary, and a lot of conversations, a lot of planning, college talking. But talk to me about what inspired you to write this excerpt.
So there's a lot of mom kiddo talks in the great mom taxi minivan, to and fro all the various places we need to go. And they ask lots of questions because I would limit device time so we could have those conversations. Shut the radio off, shut the devices off. It's 15 minutes. But if they're bored enough, they will engage in conversation, which is when you're doing it all the time happens. And they would say, well, Mom, blah, 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 this isn't fair. Or how come you're worried about that? Or I'm just a kid. And I would basically very plainly say that I have to think about 8-year-old you and then 28-year-old you, and how the choices all along the way impact 28-year-old you. Because I still have to look at my 28-year-old kid. Can't believe we're saying that. At some point, no rushing, at some point, and know that we've helped them make good choices and we've helped them pave the road. And each kid, you need to pave the road differently, because there could be same water, same eggs, scrambled differently. So we need to make sure that we're paving the right road that's going to get them where they need to be. So planning for the future and creating good habits sounds cold, but I kind of always said that love is in the follow through, and it's finishing not just talking the talk, but actually executing all those small things. And it so far
It's working.
pretty good.
You did your homework. You're quoting from your thing.
I am.
I was just going to read that. You did your homework here, but it's very well written. I enjoy planning with you and talking
Mhm.
about these things with you. And, it's interesting to see the person that you were dating, who then becomes your wife, who then becomes a mom, and putting these things into action. So it has been fun, but you're doing a heck of a job.
They like being here so far, so we'll keep them longer.
Jen was away a couple days. Was the house in order when you came home?
The house was in order. I will say that those are just an example of habits that, this is what the house should look like. And these are the things I know I'm ready for school when I have these things done. I know dinner is done with cleanup when these things are done. Just, it becomes a checklist in your head, but when they're smaller or learning a new habit, it's best to write it on paper and have it I like a Sharpie, and get the habits underway.
I asked the children while you were away, I said, what is something that on Thursday night, what is something you want to have while mom's away? They said, well, we got to make sure the house is in order when mom comes back. Jen, you're a counselor by day, your job, and, I know you were reading the book. What is something that you saw in here and you said, wow, that's good that maybe you'll share while you're working with parents? What was something that jumped out at one of the other stories?
I would say the overall just sharing stories with parents. They often come into those conference rooms and there's lots of staff and there's just them, and they feel very overwhelmed and they're replaying their own school experience. And as educators, we need to stop that movie for a minute and let them know that we are humans, we're parents, we're aunts and uncles, and we understand their hesitation. We understand their trepidation and, their first kid, or they never had a kid that had to go through this. So sharing any kind of story that can apply to the situation. You don't have to tell a lot, and it doesn't have to be long, but just a little snippet where they feel like they're communicating with someone on their level versus being intimidated by a school personnel. Just don't keep it. Make a bridge. If you make a bridge, they're on your team.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you doing that. I hope you'll write some more. And it's been a fun journey. We had lots of guests on. Some of your friends were on here, and but it's been good. I'm grateful to you for helping me with a lot of these things. So look for Mrs. Murata. She's going to be doing some maybe presenting on her own about some of the counseling things. And
Pressure's on.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Mrs.
Thank you.
Yeah. You look wonderful. Are those new earrings?
I cannot confirm or deny.
Maybe. Just for the show, new earrings. Mrs. Murata,
Bye.
thank you so much for that. I appreciate you, Mrs. Murata. All right.
Yeah.
We're going to welcome in our next guest. I might have to move the table back and sort some things out here. This is definitely the biggest guest we've had in the home office here. Wow, you're bigger in real life.
I'm back.
Hello, my friend.
Mr. Murata, how you doing?
It's been a while. This is
Yeah,
Tom Ricard, everyone. Welcome to the program once again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's exciting. New
Yeah.
book coming out.
New book.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
look who's on the cover, everyone. Look who is on the cover. What did the family think of this?
That might detract from people buying the book. I don't know. No, it was a great opportunity. Yeah, no, I was happy you asked us to do it, and the kids loved it. Yeah, it was fun.
Thomas got a little more dressed up than you did.
He did. Yeah, Thomas was my serious child. He had the vest on, and yeah, they did a nice job.
And we can't see the back, but he's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
reading the principal on that. He came ready.
Yeah, he came ready. He's my serious guy. He's my academic.
Well, I'm grateful for you for doing this, Tom. And again, he's on the cover, but you have 4 beautiful children. You are in the throes of parenting now. What would you say, Tom, are some tips? What are some? And I should have had you write an excerpt in here too, in addition to the cover, because you're doing some great things with your family as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many in the book that it's hard to pinpoint a couple, but I use them. I use a lot of them. Admit it, fix it, move on. That's a great one I talk to kids about all the time. I talked to staff about that.
Mm.
That's when I used that on my interview for my current job. I brought that up in my interview. So I love that one. Service to others, the fire, water, trust. I like them all. I like them all. They resonate with me. I think number 18.
Guy did his homework too.
Yeah.
Check out what 18 is.
Number 18 is terrific. And
Oh yeah.
it's about, kids, letting your kids struggle a little bit. I've been blessed and fortunate to have a wonderful family. My father and my mother were huge influences in my life.
Oh yeah.
And they made me struggle. I have stories about how my father just wouldn't let me give up. And I was in college. I was my senior year in college, and I had to take 18 credits to graduate. And I didn't want to take 18 credits. I wanted to take 12. And I asked my dad. I said, "Why don't I just take the summer or the next semester, and I'll graduate?" And he said, "No, you can't do that." And I'm grateful that he said no, because I got it done. And I asked him, I said, "Dad, I have too much going on. I can't. I got work. I got this. I got that." He said, "Take it and get it done." And then that opened up opportunities for me. My first teaching job happened then in that fall, where I would have been taking classes. Now I had my degree, and I could get my job, and it was a great opportunity. And that's just one example.
And do you get that call? Number 18 is there may be merit to having your kids work through a class they do not like, or stay with a teacher of whom they are not fond. Is that something that you get a call as an administrator in your district?
Get it all the time. Yeah, I mean, at the high school level, you probably get it more. Now, me being in middle school, but yeah, I get it all the time, and it's hard to convey because parents are emotional. Parents are very emotional when their child they're perceiving them to be struggling. The teacher doesn't like them. They're having a hard, difficult time with it. So they're very emotional, but you try to talk them down a little bit. And I know sometimes when I talk to parents, and you do too, you can't judge that parent on their worst day. And sometimes we speak to them in situations that aren't the nicest and friendliest situations. So I always, if you talk about a partnership with the community, you definitely can't judge parents on their students, athletes on their worst day. I think that's important too. But yeah, we talk them through it, and there's a lot of instances. I mean, when I was in high school, again, my own personal story, back then we took regents and non-regents classes, right? There was a little bit less of an option, but I didn't want to take 11th grade on regents English because it was hard, it was difficult. And I went home to my father and said, I want to go to the non-regents course. And it wasn't much of a discussion. He said, "No, you can't do that." And I wasn't one to argue with my father. And I didn't drop it. And I tell you, the research paper that I did in that class, I still have today.
Come on.
Absolutely. I
You got a ton of stories, bro.
I did it on the author. It was about Ken Kesey. And he was an author. He did Monthly with his Cuckoo's Nest. And I still have it because I struggled. And I was proud of it. I kept it all these years because that struggle is real. The struggle, life is about experiences. And that was an experience that helps me to this day.
You have you got amazing stories. You're coaching, your father coach, you have your dad's memorial scholarship going on. You really need to put these on paper.
I don't know if that many people are interested.
Yeah, no, they're interested. And you have a great memory, Tom, and you build relationships with people. And but tell me what you got going on with this scholarship and your family. You just had a big fundraiser.
Yeah, huge fundraiser. Yeah. So my dad passed a few years back, and we run a golf outing to raise money for scholarships for local high school graduates in Orange County, and we offer a basketball scholarship and then 2 other scholarships. And we were trying to figure out how to kind of keep my dad's memory alive. And again, I was blessed that my father was, I owe everything to my father and my mother, but my father especially, because he kind of set me in that right direction. And he's a teacher, a coach, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So we raised a ton of money. We had 144 golfers a couple of weeks ago. We raised $95,000.
Wow!
And for a mom and pop organization, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah. We're gonna have to ask Dr. Dina for a donation when she comes on the program here. Tom, I was blessed to referee your dad. Saw him on the sidelines, saw how he conducted himself in the high pressure situation, whether they were winning by 40 or tight or losing. Always just calm and classy. How did you take those characteristics into your role now as a father, as a coach, and a school administrator?
It formed me. So I'm a bit of a hothead on the basketball court. And I've grown, but as a young guy, I was very emotional. I was a little bit of a hothead, and my dad kind of guided me, and he was my lead by example person. He never overreacted. never ever overreacted to an official, to a player, to anything. And as a assistant principal, as a principal, you can't overreact. You absolutely can't overreact because again, you want that partnership with the parents, and every interaction you have with the parent.
I like how you're working the quote
Yeah,
of the book
yeah.
in there. Did you hit? You see how he's working it in? Yeah.
But every interaction with the parents, the community, is an opportunity, and opportunities don't go away; they just go to somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a Bill Parcells quote.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's a good one, and that's the deal. You got to always be calm and cool with the parents. Now, there's times also where you have to tell it to them straight, but again, you're there for a reason, and you want the best for their kids, and they want the best for them. And I think it's just a better situation. So my dad was pretty calm and cool on the outside. He could get intense, you know. He coached, he got into kids, and he was loyal to his faculty when he taught, and he was loyal to his players, and so he would sometimes, you know, bite back a little bit, but he was always calm under pressure, and I got that from him.
Well, Tom, you've been a friend. You've been someone loyal, able to work, and then here your family coming for the cover of the book. I got to get you the signed picture of that. But I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What's next for you, Tom? I know you've been an assistant principal for a while now. That principal job knocking on the door, or what?
Well, you know, it's in your office right now at Port Jervis High School. There's a sign behind your desk: "The grass isn't always greener on the other side."
Mm-hmm.
So I had a great teaching career. I was at a great school with you for a couple of years, and now I'm at a really good school as an assistant. I don't know what the next step for me is. I just truly enjoy what I'm doing, and I just don't want to. So for me to become a principal, it has to be a really, really good position. I'm very happy where I am. I don't need a title per se. But yeah, if the offer presented itself to me, I would absolutely take a look at it.
I'd take a look at it.
Yeah.
Tom, you get an education and the partnership. One of the things that you chose with your wife was homeschooling.
Yeah.
Your wife is a teacher, but she's been teaching them. Is that something you're going to continue? I know sports is big with your family, and I know that's something you've been discussing with the family. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, no. So we decided to homeschool. My wife is just unbelievable. She's a great wife. I mean, she's just crazy, ridiculous. She's so supportive. She's a great mother. So she is a certified high school math teacher. She majored in biology, minored in biology in college. So she has all the skills to homeschool. Right now, we're going. We've talked about the middle school time to maybe, pushing them out there. But one of the big things for homeschooling with us is not the poor education in our home district, anything like that. We just, faith is important to us. So we have our homeschool program is rooted and based in our faith, and we really, really like that about it. And so that's one of the major reasons why we do it.
I like it.
Yeah.
You want to stick around and say hi to Dr. Dina for a little bit?
Yeah, I miss Dr. Dina doing these walkthroughs. Everything she taught me, I'm putting into practice, feedback, and all that good stuff.
I love me some Dr. Dina live from Buffalo, New York. Tom, you're going to have to squeeze in with me to say hi to her here.
Hey, Doc, how are you?
Doc, good to see you.
I'm good. How are you, gentlemen?
Two of your disciples here. Dr. Dina from the Dr. Dina Agency. Welcome, Doc.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. We're on hour 2.5 of the podcast here. I'm going for the world record.
I think you'll make it. I won't compete with you on that one.
Before we get to your excerpt here in the book, Doc, tell me what's going on. Tell me what's going on in your world of education here.
Supporting schools, those schools that are on the ESSA accountability list for low test performance, getting them not just off the list, but staying off the list. With all of those school improvement and district school improvement plans, just doing the work that I was doing in Port Jervis. Just I'm able to do it now locally, which is great. Mm-hmm.
To beating to your own drum.
Yep.
That's right. Tom, I'm gonna talk to Dina about her thing. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
All right. See you, Doc.
Bye. Good seeing you.
You need to write some of those stories down, bro. You know what I mean?
I will.
There's a book there.
Thanks.
Dr. Dina Stevenson, Buffalo, New York, our next guest here. Doc, we had a big signing here, right? Did I see? Howard University?
Yes. We're pretty excited over here.
You and Maddie, happy for you. You wrote your excerpt about guiding your child in the recruiting process. Your daughter, a basketball player, now going to be a college basketball player. Tell me a little bit about your excerpt, Doc, and what was your mindset and why you chose to write that?
Parenting is something that I always talked about when I came to visit you. It's the center of what my husband and I do. We don't take it for granted. We believe that our children are on loan to us, and so because of that, that was important to speak about it, and especially with the pandemic and knowing that things were changing and there was so much uncertainty, it was important for us to just discuss that it's not just about basketball. Like, for prior to COVID, it was practice, AAU tournaments, visiting schools, all of those things that took up too much of our time without really having a conversation with our daughter. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like the hustle and bustle of, you got to get to the next tournament. You got to do this. You got to get to practice. And COVID allowed us to kind of step back from it and go, you know what? We're not parenting. We're allowing this process to kind of push us through. And so COVID was probably the best thing that happened to our family because it got us to settle. It got us to become reacquainted with one another. And especially for me, I was traveling, I was in hotels probably 10 days out of the month.
Yeah.
And so COVID got me to step back and say, let me just reassess what's important. I understand that basketball is important to my daughter, but my daughter is important to us, and it cannot take over. So, which hence her decision, her decision to go to a school where she could get a great education in addition to playing basketball. And so that was important. And so she chose a HBCU, and we're excited. We're absolutely ecstatic.
Was that part of her decision, Doc, to go to a historically Black college? And did that factor in?
It did, but it wasn't. And I think it was the conversations that we had through COVID that led her to that. I think we were pushing her to the Big Ten. We were pushing her to, other colleges.
The ACC.
Yeah. Whereas, that wasn't what she wanted. So she was doing what she felt we wanted her to do, but it wasn't what she wanted to do. And so, I think with all of the events that happened during COVID as well, just kind of helped her say, you know what, she's a minority student in a predominantly white school. So, to be able to go to a school where she could see more people that looks like her was important to her, but we didn't know that because we weren't listening, because we were pushing.
That's so beautiful, Doc, to hear you say that, to write about it. I'm so happy for Maddie, and I want to look forward to following her. Doc, what would you say to parents that, have these dreams of living through their child through the college and making sure the kid doesn't get too big, right? They don't get too big for their britches. What would you say there?
Listen. It's something as simple as just listen. Do less talking and more listening to your child, because she told us, we just didn't listen.
That's so beautiful. And you're saying that COVID brought this out because you were running, you were traveling, you were investing in school leaders all over the country. And wow, good for you, Doc. I'm so happy for her. Let's shift gears a little bit, Doc. You running Doc Dina Enterprises. It's your own thing. And not only are you doing that, you're trying to coach people to run their own thing too. What made you want to try to help other people do this?
I think I was intrigued by so many people, talking to so many leaders, so many teachers that really wanted to start their own business, but either fear or lack of knowledge caused them to not execute it. And so that was the initial part of it. Just, wanting to help people because they just didn't know where to turn, or not knowing that, wow, like I could do this on the side. Like this is another source of income for me. Absolutely. And so, I would go from school to school and people would pull me aside and ask, how did you get started with this? Is this something that I could do? And I think that's what started, just from conversations that I was having with other educators, but them not knowing how to get started. And so I became that source for many. Unfortunately, I'm going to announce it publicly. July 1, I'm stopping. I have too much on my plate. So I am focusing only on the educational consulting part of it. I can't do both justice. And
Yes.
so I need to continue to build my business and become my own client, so to speak, and support. I have a ton of schools and I'm a one-woman show. So I need to be able to make sure that I'm supporting them and using the advice that I've been giving to my coaching client. So effective July 1, I am Doc Dina Enterprises LLC educational consultant. That's it. That's enough.
Doc, you're so amazing in so many areas. How when people aren't confident enough, you're very confident and you show it, but not in a look at me way. What do you tell people? Like, how do you teach people to be confident?
That's a great question.
you ooze it. People are attracted to you because just your presence. It's so powerful. What do you say to people when they're just not confident enough? Because that's what it is. They don't think they can do it.
Well, and that is exactly what it is. They don't think they can do it. So there's definitely a mindset shift that has to happen, but it has to start with, well, why do you even want to do this to begin with? Like, what is your why? And it can't be about the money, because, you can find other ways to make money. It has to be about, are you in it to maybe pay for your kids' college? Are you in it to maybe pay off some debt? Are you in it because you really want to help people and you feel like you can expand your reach by doing this or whatever it is? Because it doesn't even have to be a business. And focusing on that, make it less about you and more about your mission to fulfill whatever your why is. Because I think once you take self out of it and you dig deeper into how what you're doing could support other people, it becomes less intimidating, because it's like you're doing this because this is your life's journey to do, not because of anything that is going to promote you or make you look good. It's going to help other people. And I don't know, maybe that's my medical background, and that's the reason why I can approach things that way. So anytime I feel like a hint of like fear, I think about, well, why am I doing this? It's not about me. And so when people say things that maybe discourages me, I focus back on the why and go, okay, wait, I can't let this person discourage me, because they're the obstacle between me getting whatever it is that I need to get to support whoever I need to support. And so it's a life journey. Obviously, I haven't always been this confident, and I do have some imposter syndrome. Sometimes I'm like, are you want me to do this for real? Like you like, and I snap out of it. But yeah, I mean, I'm human. So, obviously there are situations when, you get a call from the local BOCES and they say, we want you to be our go-to gal. And you're like, me? You realize it's just me, right? Yeah, right. Maybe it's the Dina spelt with 2 N's, not 1.
Dina, I got one more serious question. Our next guest is here.
Great.
What is Maddie doing wearing an Eagles jersey at the Bills game? What's happening here?
I was the only Bills fan at a Bills game, because my entire family, I mean, we have that.
You're going to get in trouble with the mafia there. I'll leave you with this, Doc. You have taught me a lot. You've been a friend, a mentor. You've made me a better principal, but I learned one of the most important things in my life. Do not put a woman's pocketbook on the floor. Don't do it. He said,
Don't do it.
don't do it.
Don't do it.
Doc Dina, if people are interested in your services, where can they get in touch with you?
They can go to my website, docdinaenterprises.com.
You're the
Pretty
best, Doc.
simple.
You're the best.
Thank you.
Let's connect, girl. All right.
We will.
All right. Good to
Take
see
care.
you again.
Good to see you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doc, and good luck to Maddie. All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, girl. That was Doc Dina from Doc Dina Enterprises. We have one more guest. This has been a marathon show. I want to give a shout out one more time to my sponsorships. We will start with Halvesies Cookies. Here they are. Here's the code Murata15. And here's the cookies. Steven, I don't know if I sent them to you yet. They're vacuum sealed. They come, you pop them in the oven. They're fantastic. And it's cut. It's a half a cookie, right? You can see they're fantastic. I got to get you some. HalvesiesCookie.com, Murata15. Number 2, Rios Gear Sunglasses. Check them out. Rios Gear Sunglasses, Murata15. Here they are. They float. They're beautiful. I love them. And last but not least, Ann Collar. This is an Ann Collar shirt. It's flexible. When Stephen Broadwell was coaching, he wouldn't be sweating through it. Murata20 is the code. Check it out. And Collar. Really happy with the shirts and all they've done for me. So let's bring in the last but not least guest of the night, Stephen Broadwell from the North Country. Hello, Stephen.
Good evening.
From New Hampshire.
Exactly.
Yeah, good to see you, my friend.
It's great seeing you.
Yeah, this is Stephen Broadwell, educator from upstate New York. Really has become a friend and mentor of mine. I appreciate you coming on, Stephen.
Oh, I welcome the opportunity to be here. I know it's been a marathon for you, so I'm the last hitter for you.
You're bringing us home, and I couldn't have anybody better. I know I owe you a copy. I don't think you have the books yet, so I'm going to send them up. But I invited Stephen to join me. Stephen, that's one of the most unique things I've heard that you do about writing to successful people. And it's so old school, but you made it work, and you have treasures that you share out with other people. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it started when I was coaching over 30 years ago, and I was looking for inspiration for our players and for the coaches on our coaching staff. So I started out and I wrote to Coach John Wooden, arguably the best basketball coach of all time, and certainly a great teacher of life. And I got his home address. I wrote to him back in 1989, and within 3 weeks, he wrote back to me a 3-page handwritten letter, which was just unbelievable, with the insight and the inspiration that he had, and sent me his autograph of his Pyramid of Success, which is, you could live by the rules and the building blocks that he has in that. And that started I showed it to my players and showed it to our coaching staff. And from there, I just started to write to people and wrote to coaches, wrote to politicians, Supreme Court justices.
Ruth Bader.
What's that?
You wrote to Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I did.
Yeah,
I did. The last one I just got was from the latest Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett. So over the last 35 years, I've been writing to people and have received, letters back from them. Some of them are handwritten, some of them are typed out. But certainly the biggest treasure that I have is the one from Coach Wooden.
And that was your first one.
It was. But it goes on from there. I mean, it's Red Auerbach, it's Muhammad Ali, John Calipari, Clarence Thomas, Dan Gable, when he was coaching wrestling at the time, Billy Donovan when he first started coaching at Marshall.
Wow.
So just a variety of different people. Jack Welch when he was the CEO of GE.
Wow.
And the people would take their time and write back some thoughts. I always used to ask them for what's their secret for success. And I think we all know that there's no real secret for success. It's hard work, it's dedication, it's commitment, and it's doing the little things over time. And that's what the majority of the letters have said.
And Stephen, I know I've pushed you. I know I've asked you about it. I need this published. We got to get these letters out. They're incredible. I want you to meet Sarah Thomas, who published this with EduMatch. I want you to think about putting on paper because you're so generously share them with me. I know you email them out to your group. Certainly when someone passes, you share the letter about it. And I have it in here. I wrote it in here. Not only do you have your portion here, but you allow me to put the letter. So I literally have the handwritten letter in the book here. It has your name, dear Coach Bradwell, October 10th, 1989.
Yeah.
And it's just so perfect. I really love that you share them, and I'm so inspired that you do that and share out that information. The other
It's been great, and basically what I did was I put them. When I received the letter, I put it on my wall in my office, and the kids, my players would come in, and they'd read the letters. When the coaches were in, they'd be reading letters and parents, and again, I try to share them with people as much as possible. Because I think it's important that people see positive messages from people that have been successful. And we share a friend with Dr. Gilbert, and his line is "Success leaves clues," and that's true. And if we can learn from the clues in the letters that people write and they want to share with us, I think that's wonderful.
What percentage of people write back to you?
Over the years, I'm going to guess probably 30% of the people would write back, and then it's less now because with email and Twitter and all the other types of social media, a handwritten letter for somebody to take the time to be able to do that is different. So when you receive one back now, it's really special. Yeah. But back 35 years ago, that was a form of communication, so people would take that time. Yeah. Larry Bird wrote back. Yo-Yo Ma wrote back. Alex Trebek, sent a picture and, basically said education is important.
Yeah, you shared that one out when he passed too. Yeah, yeah.
So again, there's a group of people that over the years have been a group for me. And when something special happens to one of the people that I might have a letter for, I try to send it out so people can see it.
Yeah. Well, that's a great thing that you do. And again, Stephen, I know you don't have the book yet. I'm going to get it to you. I'll get you a couple copies. But you were a coach. You were an educator. You're a school leader. What would you say are some things that you would recommend to parents for their kids to be successful in school, whether it was through coaching or your lens as a parent yourself or your lens as a school leader?
When I had parents come in my office with concerns or issues, the first thing I always told them as a parent is your number one job is to be an advocate for your student, for your child. That's the number one thing you have in life to be responsible for. So that's the most important thing. The other thing is to create a partnership with the school. As educational leaders, we know what we're doing in schools. We've been there a long time. The teachers know what they're doing. The administrators know what they're doing, and they are really looking out for the best interest of your child as well. So when you create a form of a bond and a partnership in the best interest of the student going forward, that's so important. When both sides are divisive or you're having issues, you need to come together and work towards the best interest of the parent's child, and certainly as educators, our students.
I agree 100%. That's the theme of the book. I'm working with parents now to build those partnerships, but I'm also working with the school leaders to build those partnerships, because sometimes we as educators, we put up that defense, right? We're afraid of the pushback. So we pull back in a way, which creates less of a partnership, which creates more of a wall, which is not good.
Absolutely. Yeah, we need to have those partnerships. We need to always remember that how would we want, as educators, how would we want, if it was our child that we're dealing with, how would we want that person to deal with, the child being from us, if it were our child. So I think that's really important as well. Every child is special. Everybody that sits in front of your desk or in the classroom is a special individual, and you need to treat them that way as well.
Awesome. Stephen, I know you had a life change here. You moved to New Hampshire. You're retired a couple years now. What are you doing with the majority of your time these days?
I moved actually closer to my family, which is great. Both my kids live here. So I have a granddaughter, and we spend a lot of time with her. I'm still working as a consultant with some schools, looking at athletic programs and trying to help them move forward with that. So that's been, fun as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to get this book in your hands. I appreciate you being a friend to me and all that you've done for me. And the letters are just exceptional. I really challenge you, Stephen. You're sitting on a gold mine, and you shouldn't wait for people to pass to share it, because I think there's a lot of value there. So I would encourage you to move on that and get that out there, because what you did is exceptional. And I think there are a lot of people could benefit from that.
I appreciate that.
Good. All right, my friend, I'm going to do a sign off here. I appreciate you coming on, Steve.
Absolutely. Good luck with the book.
I'll be in touch. It'll be in the mail to you.
Sounds great.
All right, my friend. That was Stephen Broadwell from the North Country. And that's going to bring us a close to our show. Just like real life, we had a conflict here. I had to do a second round. So this is the second one here, but we did 3 hours of a podcast. So I'm beat, but I'm disappointed we had that technical snafu, but it happens. It does happen, and that's life, and you just got to keep rolling. I am grateful to EduMatch for this, the partnership, Surviving and Thriving. We're going to sign off on this. You can find it at Amazon. If you want a signed copy, you can get it on my website, and I'm excited about it. So I hope you'll check it out. I hope you'll get it into the hands of parents. I hope you'll get it into the hands of the PTA, and that it can help people out. Thank you so much for tuning in. Reach out to me on Twitter at Andrew Marotta21. Last shout out for my sponsors. Halvesies Cookies, bam, Marotta 15. Rios Gear, Marotta 15. Check them out. They float. I love them. And Ann Collar, Marotta 20. Check out those companies. I appreciate them. Ann Collar's got nice men's clothing for school leaders out there. I appreciate them outfitting me, helping me look good. Signing off here on the program. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Keep rolling. Keep surviving and thriving. Thanks for tuning in.